All right. Well, in a surprise, for me at least, Hasan got to interview Bernie Sanders. So we're going to go and check that one out. Let's go.
Okay, perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and MBs, we have Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont here on the broadcast. A way to finally close the circle. A person that is endlessly impactful in American politics for especially our corner of American politics. A person that I believe is profoundly important in revitalizing the leftist movement in this country. Bernie Sanders, thank you so much for everything you've done, and also thank you for coming on the broadcast.
Well, my pleasure to be with you, and thank you for what you are doing. You are part of a revolution in media today, which is talking to millions of people who are tuning out of legacy media, and thanks for what you're doing.
So we have a limited amount of time, so I'm going to get right into it. As far as your impact goes, I think we should probably start off with where you foresee the future of the left movement going in American politics.
Well, what I am most optimistic about is a revitalization of the trade union movement.
Okay, I'm just making sure I'm like not missing anything here.
A growth
He's
in
just on the
class
phone.
consciousness, workers beginning to stand up and take on corporate greed, stand up to the massive levels of income and wealth inequality that we have today. And I think the future of American politics is bringing young people, people of color, women together in a
Just had a lovely chat with my mom. She says hi.
Union movement, which demands that we end oligarchy in America. And that's something I'd like to talk with you a little bit about, Hasan. And move toward not only
he's talking to Bernard. Hell yeah.
a democratic political system, but an economy where all of our people in the wealthiest nation on earth have a decent standard of living. That is not a radical idea. We can do it, but we can't do it unless we bring people together around a progressive agenda.
Absolutely. Speaking of the oligarchy, we of course have the anti-corruption candidate, Donald Trump, who ran on draining the swamp the first time and then only seemingly worsened the conditions of the swamp, now aligned directly with one of the top oligarchs, the actual top oligarch, the wealthiest person on the planet, Elon Musk. And I feel like you've had some conversations about Elon Musk, especially in recent weeks. And I was wondering how you feel about Donald Trump cozying up to all of these billionaires, and these billionaires, especially in the tech sector, including but not limited to Elon Musk, cozying back up to Donald Trump and a resurgence of right-wing politics in the country.
Hasan, this is of enormous, enormous consequence. There's something more important that is happening not only in American politics, but in world politics. Let's think about it for a moment. What you got in Elon Musk is, in fact, the wealthiest guy in the world, worth over $400 billion. I mean, it's just astronomical, mentioning that. Along with Zuckerberg, Bezos, the three of them are worth almost $8 trillion. They're all going to be at Trump's side during his inauguration. Musk is going to play an active role in, quote unquote, transforming government. What is all of this stuff is about? What it's about is moving incredibly rapidly toward an oligarchic form of society where the very wealthiest people will not only own the economy, but not only own the media. I mean, Bezos owns the Washington Post, Musk owns Twitter, but also own the political system. One of the issues that we don't talk about enough is that during this last election, a small, tiny number of people, multi-billionaires, poured huge amounts of money into both political parties. And that is, to my mind, not what democracy is about. So you got control of the media by the few, control of the political system by the few, control of the economy by the few. And if that's not oligarchy, I don't know what oligarchy is. And our job is to bring our people together, the vast majority of the people, demand a vibrant democracy, getting rid of Citizens United, one person, one vote, limiting the amount of money big money can spend on politics, and creating an economy in the richest country on earth that guarantees a decent standard of living for all people. That's the challenge.
What do you think Elon Musk is going to do in terms of privatization when he is basically in charge of numerous government agencies now? Like, he's going to have control, or at least a tremendous amount more influence, direct influence over numerous government agencies, some of which are tasked with regulating his companies.
Exactly. And it's not just, don't look at it as him having control over this or that agency. It's the enormous impact that the wealthiest guy on earth, a very smart guy and a very dynamic, hardworking guy, what he's going to have over the totality.
Oh, yeah. Bloodstone. Yeah, thank you for the gifted sub for Kenzie.
Of the government and the Trump administration. What does it mean? These guys do not believe in government. They aggressively believe in deregulation. They believe in more and more wealth and power for people on top right now. You don't hear Mr. Musk talking about the need to provide health care to all people as a human right.
Yeah, which he could fund like for I think like the next 200 years.
You don't hear Mr. Musk talking
just by himself.
About the need to make sure that all of our people have decent education or live in safe, affordable housing. That you don't need. What you're talking about is an expansion and growth in technology, which will benefit the people on top, and in my view, at the expense of ordinary people. And you know what else was kind of unique about Musk? A little bit different than other guys. This guy, increasingly, you may have noticed, talking about people with super high IQs. You heard that?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that kind of language in a very long time. You're talking about a kind of a superior aristocracy who are all so smart and know all about technology, have all kinds of wealth, who are living these extraordinary lives, and they're going to be running the world for us. And the challenge of the moment is that with an exploding technology that has the capability of improving life for all, we've got to make sure that that happens and not see more increased wealth and power going to the people on top, which is exactly what Musk is all about. These guys are smart. They are aggressive. They want even more.
Come on, I like his animation.
They want even more
1%,
power.
the 1%,
They are
the 1%.
enormously dangerous. What's going on right now is unprecedented. This is not just, rich guys. Yeah. Oh boy, I'd like some more money. I need another 14th house. They want power. Power to go with their wealth.
Yeah.
What would you say to the growing resentment from the...
Yeah, now, like, that's kind of the thing. They went from buying houses to buying countries, and now they're trying to race to see, like, well, come on. That's why billionaires are kind of rooting on Elon Musk. They're just like, yeah, well, if he can do it, then we can finally do it. It's
the American working class against political institutions, the elite, and specifically our government. Do you feel like this level of deregulation and privatization and the erosion of government social safety nets and government programs have contributed to that resentment?
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, you're the average guy out there. You're not into politics. What are you seeing? You're seeing that in many ways you are no better off, in some cases worse off than a worker in your place 50 years ago. You got that? Real inflation accounted for wages for the average American worker, despite the huge increase in worker productivity and technology, all the computers, all the cell phones. An average worker in real inflation accounts for dollars, not making a nickel more than he or she did 50 years ago. And during that period, a massive transfer of wealth, bottom 90% to the top 1%. And you're looking around you, and you're worried that your children may be in even worse financial shape than you are. They may never own a home of their own. You look at a government, you're hearing all the political bullshit that's out there. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And yet, maybe your job went to China. It's likely that you have a high deductible. You may not have any health insurance.
But again, be mad about the immigrants coming in to take your job. You know, again, like, dude.
Maybe your kid made it to college, and he or she is deeply.
And even with the job going to China, then it's just like, thanks Obama,
that, and
thanks Biden. Ugh.
Does democracy really work for me? Does it really work for me? And a lot of people are concluding, no, it doesn't. And they're willing to move toward a more authoritarian type society run by Donald Trump. You know, what Trump said in so many words, he said, you know what, this system is broken. I'm going to smash it. Well, he's right, the system is broken. Problem is, his solutions are going to make a bad situation even worse. Our job is to acknowledge what Democrats don't.
Elon has the audacity to first outwardly ask, can I totally buy this election, right? And then did it loudly. Yeah.
The system is broken. We need to rebuild the system. People together. We can do it. We should not be the only.
Yeah, I was about to say, wait a minute. Yeah, Trump can't talk without. I call it the air accordion. Like, you every time you don't even hear it, but I'm doing an invisible silhouette, and it's beautiful. You don't even. Nobody talks about it, but I'm actually one of the best, most accomplished accordion players in the world.
Major country.
Weird Al, don't got shit on me.
On Earth, not guaranteeing healthcare to all people is a human right. You think we can't build millions?
Weird Al, you know why they call him weird? He's a leftist.
Affordable housing. You think we can't reach out to the world and address climate change? I think we can. Tough stuff. None of this is easy. We can do it. A lot of people.
Sensuality. I should go to sleep, but I don't want to.
I'm sick and tired. I've heard all of it over and over again.
Well, if you fall asleep, you fall asleep, man.
Status quo is not what I want. I want
Get
change.
some sleep.
Trump may be crazy. He may be a pathological liar. He's going to bring about change. So that's what I think we're dealing with.
Do you feel like this was a crisis in communication from the Democratic Party in the past election cycle that led to the defeat of Kamala Harris?
No, I don't. I don't think it's a question of communication. I think it's what the Democrats stand for.
That's what we need right there. Just
it's not messaging is art. So if the Democrats believe, does the Democratic leadership believe that the current system is broken? You tell me. Have you heard that? People go around saying, look, there's something wrong when we have massive income and wealth inequality, when we're the only major country not to guarantee health care to all people, when you got 800,000 people sleeping out on the streets, when we have an opioid epidemic, when our public schools are failing. You know what? Guess what? The system ain't working. Do you hear Democrats say? You tell me. I mean, I'm sitting in the Beltway. I don't hear it. Do you hear it on the outside world?
No, absolutely not. That's why I was wondering what your opinion is. Is it malicious? Is it incompetence? Is it because we are now seeing the likes of Chris Murphy, for example, come to terms with a more left-wing populist message that they want to adopt. Now, you say that it's more than just the message. It's actually about dramatically changing the policy, dramatically changing the direction away from this zealotry that they display in terms of defending third-way neoliberalism. And I 100% agree with that. But will there actually be a change in your estimation within the Democratic Party? Do they actually want to win elections? Do they actually want to change the trajectory of American politics away from the throes of fascism?
They want to win elections, absolutely. Are they willing to take on their corporate sponsors and people who finance their campaigns in order to do what is popular and what the American people want, which is the way you win elections? Let me give you just many examples. I mean, I can throw it out.
Very red area around here. The only thing I ever hear about Bernie is that he wore mittens.
It is one thing to say, okay, we are opposing Trump's effort, perhaps, to throw millions of people off of the Affordable Care Act. And we all agree that should not happen. It's another thing to ask why it is that we're spending twice as much per capita on healthcare. 85 million people are uninsured or underinsured. Insurance costs are going up. So the question there is our healthcare system broken or not? I think many Democrats are prepared to say, yeah, it's broken. We need a new system. We need to move toward Medicare are there some Democrats who are beginning to catch on?
I was like, what happened?
That there is something wrong when they have lost
Oof.
a significant part of the white working class, now the Latino working class, some of the black working class? Are people beginning to catch on that maybe we've got to address some of the issues that are impacting the lives of working people? Yeah, I think some are. Are enough? No, I don't think so.
How do you feel about the Morena victory in Mexico, if you don't mind me asking? Because we did see a
Hasan seems distracted. Yeah, a little bit.
In AMLO transitioning power away after seeing tremendous success with the expansion of the welfare state and social safety nets.
Although, you know what? No, he's probably so focused on making sure that he gets every question that he wants to ask out, because like this is a really big opportunity for him. He's not, or I mean, he could be sick. It could be the fact that, you know, he's in LA where the air quality is not great.
To target to the best of his ability, inflationary, the inflation crisis that many other Western liberal capitalist nations faced, where we saw historically unpopular incumbent disadvantages. AMLO was able to transfer power away from himself to a younger female candidate, Claudia Sheinbaum. So clearly, even in North America, there is an example of
he's checking notes.
A social democratic party becoming even more popular in the aftermath of this election.
Well, I would look. It ain't complicated. If you do what your constituents want you to do, I want they're going to vote for you. I mean, it's kind of basic politics. If you ignore their needs and say, well, you just don't appreciate all that we have done for you, you don't know how good you have it, well, you know what they say, you know, well, screw you, I'm not doing well. I would also mention to you that when we passed in the
Son said he played basketball the other day, the smoke might have gotten to him.
Of pandemic, the American Rescue Plan, which provided direct cash payment tens of millions of Americans.
That's Hasan Piker. He's one of the largest leftist streamers on the platform.
Extended unemployment
on both YouTube and Twitch.
Kept people from getting evicted, lowered the childhood poverty rate through a child tax credit. At that particular
based-ass guy who definitely puts his money where his mouth is, and he just the other day went to the camps where they have all the firefighters from prison working, and he interviewed him. Like he's
after that bill was passed, guess what?
I have a lot of respect for him.
Popularity was the highest that it was throughout his administration. You tell me, just tell me, if the Democratic Party said, you know what, in the first 3 months of a Democratic presidency, a Democratic Congress, every American will have health care as a human right without having to take out your wallet, because it's a human right. We're going to fund it in a progressive way, publicly, no more in insurance premiums, co-payments, deductibles. If the Democrats pulled that off, how incredibly popular do you think they would be? You tell me.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely. I mean, honestly, this is the stuff that Uncle Chunk Yogurt, that he's been preaching. You know, Chunk Yogurt, he's been all about like, oh, this is why the progressive movement is so popular. This, you know, Bernie's ideals. I don't know why he sounds like Jerry Seinfeld.
Do you think that it's the impact of
oh my God, he kind of does though.
Money in politics that causes Democrats to be afraid of taking the initiative on issues like this? Or is it more pervasive and unfortunately scarier than that? Because I'm a firm believer that aside from the lobbying dollars, I think that there
shaky Gurga
is a crisis of like elitism, I would say, where you have immediate family members of Democratic Party officials.
That's one of my favorites.
Of course, the Republican Party officials as well that go to work in these corporations. So it's a more complex web beyond even lobbying in terms of the conflict of interest, in my opinion, between members of Congress and the corporate elite.
I think you're right. I think it is both factors. Let us not minimize the role that money plays, period. Every American, I don't give a damn what...
Did Cenk have to reject Bernie's and Or wait, no, no,
your
I
political
don't think so.
views are. Should be really.
Or did Bernie have to reject Jake's endorsement? I don't think so.
3 multi-billionaires in the Republican Party could put hundreds of millions of dollars into Trump's campaign. Democrats also had many billionaires contributing.
Mm-hmm.
Mark
Cuban.
And if you think those guys are doing this out of the goodness of their hearts, you would be mistaken. Obviously, they want to elect candidates who will represent their interests. And the second thing related to kind of what you are saying, Hasan, is that people live in a certain world. One of the crises of the corrupt campaign finance system we have is not only the impact of money. Many of my colleagues are spending 20, 30% of their days. You know what they do? They're not out talking to their working class constituents. They're on the phone raising money from wealthy people. They're going to...
Oh, yeah, they send all of us to voicemail. Like, now it's just an open joke to them where it's just like, yeah, listen to my constituents?
House parties with wealthy people. When you surround yourself with folks who have come from a certain world perspective, I'm running a corporation. Let me tell you about all my problems I'm having. It's not, hey, I can't pay my rent. Let me tell you about my problems. You live in a certain milieu, I think is what you're talking about, and that becomes separated from reality. Does that take place? Is that happening? I think it is.
Yeah, I noticed that I was the most out of touch with the outside world when I was directly at the DNC, despite being online the entire time. That I definitely noticed that there is a bubble surrounding, I would say, the Rust Belt for sure, or not the Rust Belt. Sorry, the DC class and the media class. I think are certainly.
It really is. It really is. I mean,
certainly removed.
It really is. I've said this a million times, and it's not just the politicians, it's the inside the Beltway media. I cannot recall. I have done 12 zillion interviews in my political life over the years. There's nobody who's come up to me and said, Bernie, we have massive income and wealth inequality. What do you think we should do about it? Bernie, what are you going to do about the fact that 25% of seniors in this country living on $15,000 a year or less? What are you going to do about that? What are you going to do about the fact that so many people are homeless? Those are questions that one is not asked. One is never asked about income and wealth inequality, for example. It's not part of the mindset of media or, for that matter, politicians. And we got to break through that. We have got to break through it because it is on the mindset of ordinary Americans.
So switching gears a little bit, but going back to the Democratic Party's performance in these past 4 years under Joe Biden, where would you rank Biden's performance across the board? Because there were certainly a lot of good things that occurred. I think pulling out of Afghanistan was a success, and it was the appropriate thing to do, even though it was not defended adequately by the Democratic administration, in my opinion, and the media definitely was very gung-ho about continuously punishing Biden. There were also initiatives, like you said, the expansion of child tax credit, and wonderful work done by the NLRB and many other regulatory agencies, like the FTC specifically. But it did seem as though, one, these successes and the impact was not seen as tangible things that the American working class could associate with. But outside of that, do you feel as though it didn't meet the standards that are necessary for improving the material conditions of the working class right now?
Excellent question. And here's the answer. Accomplished domestically.
Wait, you're cutting out. Wait, 1 second, sorry.
Leftist audio.
I don't know what happened.
Leftist
you cut
audio.
out a little bit.
No,
You said excellent
we
question.
couldn't
I didn't
get
hear
through
anything
it.
after that.
Damn
Sorry,
it.
Senator.
Are you hearing me now?
Just proving
Yeah, I
it,
can hear you now.
guys.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
I think
Come on.
if you look objectively at what Biden has accomplished domestically, it is probably the strongest record of achievement since anybody, since FDR in the 30s. What you're talking about is rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure and creating a huge number of jobs, making real progress in rebuilding manufacturing in America. First president really to take on big pharma and have some impact in lowering the cost of prescription drugs, most notably
Biden silencing him.
Negotiate prescription drug prices under Medicare, investing very heavily in climate change and sustainable.
You know that he just has a liaison that's like, that's his one job is just watching Bernie interviews. It's like, sir, he's doing it again. It's like, ugh, you know what to do.
Energy. A president who was unashamedly pro-labor, walked on a picket line with the United Automobile Workers. That is a strong record. That's only part of what he did. Problem is, the record is strong, but I think he was not been the kind of leader and communicator that made that record understandable to the American people. And second of all, even more importantly, well, that is an admirable record that he should be very proud of. I'm proud to have worked with him on some of those things. The truth is, given where the American worker is today, it is simply not enough.
Thank you.
What the American worker is crying out for.
Yeah, you can sit there giving him the credit, but we just have to say, okay, but yeah, man, you're giving us crumbs, and then you're just like, how's that cookie?
Is why are my wages today no higher than they were in real dollars 50 years ago? If we could have raised the minimum wage to say $17 an hour, it would have made a hell of a lot of difference in the lives of millions of low-income people. If we could have expanded Medicare.
Talking about Kristen, or I don't know, whatever. Kristen, don't care. Cinema, yeah, you know her whole little thing. Yeah,
Care, at least cover hearing, dental, vision.
They care. Come on, they care so much, Bernie.
Home health care would have made a real difference.
Still can't believe that.
I think also, while President Biden has accomplished a lot, he does not do what Trump does and identify enemies. Who are the impediments to progress? Well, Trump has his ideas, all undocumented people and it's transgender people, whoever it may be. He has a set of enemies, kind of change every day. But
Liz Cheney. I know she doesn't even hold any position in government. She just annoys the crap out of me.
I don't think the Biden administration is strong enough in saying, you know what, we've got to stop the greed of the corporate world right now, not just the drug companies, but the insurance companies, sectors all over. They talk about it, but not quite forcefully enough, and to present specific policies to deal with that. Alina Khan, who is, I guess, in the next few days, remains a chair of the FTC, has done a brilliant job.
Absolutely.
And is one of the heroines of that administration. I think you got to be clearer in saying, why is it that the rich are getting richer and so many other people are struggling? We need an explanation for that. I'm not sure that the Biden people were as strong on doing that as they should have been.
We don't have a lot of time, so I want to ask you something about the Green New Deal. In your Green New Deal proposal, you proposed $18 billion increase in national spending specifically to address the more
Remember when Cinema dressed like Snyder from the old show One Day at a Time?
Frequent and severe wildfires plaguing the American West.
I mean, I think that I just found it funny that she curated her wardrobe with David Lynch.
This was, of course, widely panned by the media and also politicians that are backed by the oil and gas industry. And yet the $18 billion is marginal in comparison to the total damage that we've seen in California, in Los Angeles this past week. Some estimates ranging from the most conservative estimates ranging from $50 billion to upwards of $100 billion. How do we communicate to the American public that initiatives like the Green New Deal are an absolute necessity going forward in order to truly tackle the climate crisis that is going to seemingly increase these extreme once-in-a-lifetime natural disasters?
That's the problem. They're no longer, Hasan, you're exactly right. They are no longer once in a lifetime. They're no longer once in a decade. And by the way, while I'm here with you, let me just, I love LA. I get out there fairly often, and what's going on is unimaginable, and I know people are suffering, just so worried. And we're going to do what we can to help rebuild LA. Your point is, well, I think there are 2 points that need to be made. We have got to combat every ounce of strength that we have people like Trump who think that climate change is a hoax.
Biden's just sitting there.
This is, as I understand it, the warmest year on record, followed by 9 preceding years, which were the warmest years on record. Climate change is real. What you're seeing in LA is part of what we're
I'm going to go get some sleep so I don't die tomorrow. Hey, I really appreciate you stopping by.
All over the world. Massive
I'll be on tomorrow. Although I'm going to be on a little bit earlier tomorrow. So.
And it's going to happen. It's going to continue to happen. I mean, it's horrible to almost think of this. Say that what's going on in LA today will become fairly common in years to come. But unless the global community comes together,
hey, buddy,
recognize that we got to change our energy systems, we got to take on the lies and the greed of the fossil fuel industry. We have to do what the Green New Deal is about, create millions of good-paying jobs in energy efficiency and sustainable energy, and we can do it. We can do it. And yes, what the Green New Deal was about is saying, look, that in itself is not going to solve the global climate crisis, but it'll give states and communities better resources in order to deal with the crises that are definitely going to come as we try to transform the system.
Do you feel like the back and forth political conversations or even blaming the likes of DEI or whatever the new Republican thing is on any given basis is simply a misdirection away from the actual the actual reasons as to why anthropogenic climate change is accelerating these extreme weather events?
It makes me furious. It really does. Now, presumably what's going on in LA is all because you have a Democratic governor, a Democratic mayor, but then they're going to have to explain why we've had all this terrible flooding and other disasters in very red states all across this country. You got to be a moron not to understand that climate change does not give a damn whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. It is real. So
he literally just said it. You got to be a moron. What are you, a moron?
Attention, much needed attention, on why climate change is causing devastating problems in LA, throughout our country. My small
what kind of dog is that? He is a English foxhound.
Vermont, in the last number of years, has been hit time and again. Floods which have wreaked havoc for hundreds and hundreds of homeowners, small business people. Our state capital is still impacted by the flood we had a few years ago. So this is a global crisis. Those people who are still trying to deny it in order to protect the profits of the fossil fuel industry,
he's a good
I really
boy.
don't understand it. Their kids are going to suffer. Their grandchildren are going to suffer. I don't know what they think they're gaining by playing a political game with an issue of such existential importance.
It seems like it's short-term profit seeking, which has absolutely eviscerated American manufacturing, as well as ruined even the consumer experience that Americans have in general over year. It's basically a race to the bottom, putting the interests of profits over the interests of people. I had another question about this in particular. Mike Johnson has made inferences to potentially offering conditional aid to the state of California in terms of recovery. In your experience, you've spent many decades in American Congress. Have you ever seen this level of politicization in the aftermath of any sort of natural disaster? And do you feel like Mike Johnson is doing this specifically because they want to potentially use as a way to pass through budget reconciliations without much without much problems down the line.
That's disgusting.
I think I have seen a little bit of this stuff in the past, but not to the extent that we're seeing it right now. It really is. Biden and Obama, I think if you check their records, they gave out disaster relief and other types of federal funding really to red states quite as generously or ungenerously as they did to blue states. They really did not discriminate. The idea that the largest state in our country, which has been just devastated by this terrible fire, that they are going to be playing politics with disaster relief is unconscionable. Between you and me, I don't think that they will succeed, because what goes around comes around. You do not, I don't want to see if, God forbid, Idaho is hit by something. We say, well, it's a Republican state. We're not going to give them the help they need. This is America, We're a 50-state country, and we have territories.
Jon Stewart said it best, where he's just like, why they would, Democrats would just give you that aid, because we're not psychos.
We treat all...
This is psychotic, and we need to call it what it is. I've used the term a few times in this stream. This is ghoulish. This is literally the bottom of the barrel, damn near demonic shit.
People...
We need to call it that.
And there is a disaster. What being a country is about is we all come to each other's aid. If Vermont gets hit hard by something, I expect the people of California to help us. If California gets hit, people of Vermont got to be there for you. It doesn't matter whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, whatever you are. That has got to be the basic tenet of how we do federal disaster relief.
One last question I have for you before I let you go, and thank you so much for spending time with us today. I've heard from your team that you have been doing this event in Vermont where you go and play basketball with some of your constituents. Number one, when can we ball? Because that is a dream of mine. And also number two, I've heard that you were that you had some wonderful experiences that made you feel like people are desperate for a sense of community right now and some semblance of community organizing.
Hasan, the reason we're doing this, we're paying this out of campaign funds, is I think in Vermont and all over this country, there is a desperate need for community. We did, during the holiday season in December, 4 events around the state in communities larger and smaller. It was just a fantastic thing, totally non-political. Just people coming out and doing Christmas carols and Hanukkah stuff and just, having, eggnog.
I'm just picturing him dunking on his son, alley-oop, just nuts in face. Booyah, that's how it's done.
And kids are there, and we had local kids entertaining and people singing along with the kids. Beautiful experience. We've now done 6.
He calls it out 99%.
9 basketball events, and what I want to do there is it's not only bringing people out.
His number's 99.
I worry the kids are spending too much time on their cell phones. Kids are isolated, so we do these events, and we have foul shooting contests for the little kids, and the middle school kids, the high school kids, and we give a free basketball, a good basketball to all of the kids.
I show them all what's up.
Who come with the hope that these kids will become more active, go out, play some ball, not sit home on their phones all of the time. We also do a chess tournament every year. We do a choir event every year. We do...
And then I teach them the hard life lessons about being crossed by an older person.
Essay contests. We want to involve the kids, and many of these kids are really struggling. These are tough times for kids in high school, middle school. So we're trying to reach out and bring people together in what little ways we can.
I'm just picturing literally him facing a kid just...
All right. Well, I look forward to coming to Vermont and playing basketball with you, Senator. And
you shoot hopefully.
Yeah, I play basketball quite a bit. I'm training.
All right.
I'm training to see you on the courts.
All right, you got it. Come on. We'd love to see you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Senator Sanders. Like I said, you're an incredibly impactful person for many people in my community. And I'm very fortunate that you wanted to come on. And hopefully, if I do come to Vermont, maybe we can have a much longer conversation as well.
Let's do it.
All right.
That'd be awesome.
Thank you so much. Have a great one.
That was awesome. All right. Thank you for whoever in chat made me aware that that was uploaded today. That was really, really good. Hello. If you guys enjoyed this content, please leave a like on the video. It really helps me out. And overall, it's just a cool thing to do for YouTubers. So let's help out some YouTubers that you enjoy. Also, sub to the channel if you haven't already. I have surpassed 1,000, and I just am happy to have all of you in my community. Also, look out for some of my members-only content, and if you want to enjoy that, you can get yourself a membership, or you can donate to the stream via my Streamlabs link. So either way, I really appreciate you guys watching my stuff, and I will see you in the next one.